Hello buddy, Crow here again, and I'm here with the Pinball Arcade Season 3 table rankings. Now Season 3 represents a major change in direction regarding the way tables were being released for the Pinball Arcade. Instead of releasing a table pack consisting of 2 tables, with some exceptions, every table is now being released individually, but the number of releases remained at 10 per season, and the price per release stayed the same as well. As a result, the tables being released were more of a result of pulled requests, and as such, the quality of the tables are much higher since most of these releases were in high demand, well, according to the polls. That also makes ranking these tables much more difficult because there are fewer to choose from and they are all very fun to play in their own right. Speaking of rankings, just as before, there's no formula or anything I used to rank these tables. I just played them and then ordered them. It's totally my opinion just based on playing the PS4 version. And with the list of tables in Season 3, the tables are very difficult to rank. And I'm sure everyone will disagree with me on something on the list, but let's begin anyway. At number 10 is High Roller Casino. So here we are at the bottom of the list, and I knew I had to give it the High Roller Casino. That's not to say that this isn't a fun gambling themed table, because it certainly is. It'll just take a little bit of time to grow on you. The table doesn't really do a whole lot to draw you in. The music and voices all seem pretty generic, but if you give it some time, you'll get into playing the roulette wheel, spinning the slot machine, and playing some cards. Things get even more interesting when you find the opportunity to cheat at a game or two. However, the game doesn't do anything to get the adrenaline pumping until after multi-ball starts, but it's worth it just to hear the game announce a super duper mega jackpot.
Triple jackpot! Jackpot! Jackpot!
At number 9 is Lights, Camera, Action! Some of you that know me will know that I'm not a big fan of Gottlieb tables, and would just assume that this table is low on the list because I don't like it. But that's not the case. I don't think this table is half bad. The whole filmmaking theme is actually quite unique, and the gameplay is quite solid. There's a giant countdown clock on the playfield, parts of the playfield flip around to adjust the ball flow, and the back box itself has a controllable diorama depicting a shootout action scene. The only thing that doesn't really fit in is the ability to earn playing cards that offer out special bonuses depending on your hand after 5 cards. Well, it doesn't fit the theme, but it's still fun to earn those cards. The only real complaint about the game is that it has a somewhat steep learning curve, and the objectives aren't really that intuitive. Some of the standard goals have me thumbing through the instructions to figure out how to achieve them, but then again, it could have just been me. This isn't a bad table, I just had to rank it lower because I liked most of the other tables better. At number 8 is High Speed. This is a pretty fast-paced table that has you driving a high-performance vehicle with one goal: run the red light and lose the cops in the ensuing chase. The table does a pretty good job of immersing you in the situation. Once you run the red light, you can hear the police chatter as they try to apprehend you, and the sound and light show is pretty impressive. I feel that the music that's always playing isn't the greatest though, and it's pretty repetitive. Honestly though, repetition is the table's biggest flaw. You'll hit the standee targets hitting the 3 green, the 3 yellow, and then the 3 red, and then hit the ramp to run the red light. Then immediately shoot 2 more balls onto the playfield for multi-ball and go for some jackpots. Once you're down to 1 ball again, you repeat the process. It's pretty repetitive making the same shots again and again, but it does remain a fun table. At number 7 is Black Knight 2000. I had never played this table before the Pinball Arcade, and seeing as how this looked to be a minor update to the original Black Knight table, I didn't think I was going to like it very much. But I was wrong. I really do like this table, if not but for one thing. The music on this table is absolutely fantastic. This is honestly the best music on any pinball machine I've ever heard. If you could keep the ball in play long enough, there are even lyrics that are sung. Honestly, if it wasn't for the music, I'd probably put this lower on my list. Like I said earlier, the table layout is very similar to the original Black Knight, but with some improvements. There's a dual level playfield, but to lock balls on the upper level takes a bit more effort as there's a drawbridge that now needs to be lowered first. The MagnaSave is also back, however it's only on the right side of the table instead of the left and the right. But still, the reason I keep coming back to this table is the music.
No way. Give me your money.
At number 6 is Black Rose. Here we have one of the many pirate-themed pinball tables, but there are quite a few things that make Black Rose stand out against the rest. Firstly, there's the cannon under the playfield that can be loaded up to fire at the ship in the back of the table. If you can spell sink ship when firing the cannon at the ship, then a direct hit will sink the ship for a bonus. The ball is then fired back to you in a most unusual manner, down a ramp that hangs above the middle of the playfield. It's pretty interesting to see the ball fly right down the middle of the playfield, only to be redirected at the last moment. 3-ball multi-ball is pretty fun to get because it makes you work for it by first getting 2-ball multi-ball and then relocking them for a 3rd multi-ball. I always like it when a pinball machine makes you work for multi-ball rather than just activating it. The last thing I want to mention is that this table has not 1, not 2, but 3 different video modes: knife throwing, walking the plank, and rigging swinging. It's kind of unusual that a pinball machine would have more than one video mode. However, overall this table is a pretty fun experience. At number 5 is Diner. The theme of this table is that of a 50s style diner. The goal here is pretty simple. Customers come in and order food, and you must serve them their orders. The dialogue is pretty funny in my opinion, as all the customers are from different ethnicities, and their phrases are pretty stereotypical. Nothing that would fly by today's standards. The rule set of this table is pretty simple, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyone can really jump in and enjoy this table. There's a couple things that really stand out on this table. The first is a coffee cup, which the ball can swirl around to stir the cup. And there's also the jukebox in the back of the playfield, which is used at the start of every ball to aid in the timed skill shot. And also, the back box is a functional clock which indicates how many millions the Dime Time award will be. I'll be honest though, this isn't a table I've put a whole lot of time into, and that might be why it's in the middle of my list. But it's a fun table regardless. At number 4 is BRAM STOKER'S Dracula. A table that is based on a movie that is based on a novel of the same name. This is a table that certainly has its share of unique features. The most obvious is the dot matrix display, which isn't the usual orange color, but rather deep red in color. Second is the ability to have 4 balls on the playfield during multi-ball, which can be done by stacking multi-ball modes. And finally is one of my favorite features on any table, and that is the ball that eerily floats across the table. Striking this ball before it reaches the other side will activate Missed Multi-Ball, and it's one of the most unique ways to start multi-ball that I've ever seen. In general, the table has an eerie and haunting feeling, which is accentuated by the music, sound clips, and DMD animations. Overall, everything about this table gels very well and fits the theme perfectly.
The children of the night.
At number 3 is Who Done It? So who would have thought that a murder mystery would work in a pinball machine so well? There's so much going on with this table, and it's done extremely well. At the beginning of every game, there's a murder that takes place, and it's up to you as the detective to figure out who done it. Visiting different areas will uncover clues and also allow you to interview and interrogate certain characters. When the time is right, you can select who done it, and if you are correct, it will lead you to a chase around the playfield. If you can catch the suspect, then you're in for some big points and multi-ball. Once the case is closed, another one opens up. This is an extremely fun table once you get into it, and has two very unique features. The first is the slot machine under the playfield, which can award certain specials, and the second is the elevator ramp, which depending on how it is shot can move the elevator up or down, or allow you to search the floor the elevator currently is on. This is an extremely fun table that will definitely have you planning your shots out in advance. At number 2 is Junkyard. Now the premise of this table is very unusual. For some reason you've been locked in the junkyard by the owner, Crazy Bob, and it's your mission to escape. Since you are surrounded by junk, the thing to do is collect and combine junk together to create new items which can open up new game modes and help defend yourself against the vicious junkyard dog. The playfield has a ton of things on it, like a toilet, a magic bus, a doghouse complete with the resident spike, a time machine, and in the middle of it all is a wrecking ball which can be hit in order to hit the cars sitting above the standee targets. Also worth mentioning is that the time machine will activate game modes from older pinball machines, which is a bit crazy in my opinion. But this is a crazy table. The end of the game even winds up in outer space. Even though the table has all of this stuff on it, the middle of the playfield is wide open, making every shot quite a distance to hit, and that may be one of the reasons I enjoy playing this table so much. This table is definitely a blast to play. And at number 1 is Fishtails. Now I know some people are going to call me crazy for putting this at number 1, and I originally had it lower on the list, but after playing it again and comparing it to the other 9 tables on this list, I just wound up having the most fun with this table, even if the theme seems kind of generic. I like the crisscross boat ramps, the fishing reel that locks the balls for multi-ball, the appearance of the fish monster, the feeding frenzy, rocking the boat, and stretching the truth about the fish you've caught. It just feels like there's so much to do on this table. The table may give you a hard time with some difficult shots, but to me that's part of the appeal. It rarely feels unfair. This table also happens to have one of the most difficult skill shots that I've seen, in that you have to hit the ball immediately after launch and hit the caster's club. The music that plays fits the theme very well and really wouldn't work anywhere else, and all the voices and sound effects in the game are very clear and make you feel like you've really gone fishing up north somewhere. You know, up north from wherever you happen to be right now. And that finishes up the 10 tables constituting Season 3 of the Pinball Arcade. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.